What's up, guys? I'm Zedd, and this is the playlist of my life. Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen is probably my favorite song ever. Anytime I'm not inspired or I feel like I've exhausted chord progressions, I think of this, and it makes me realize how much better I can get. Because I think in terms of music and inspiration and musicality, Bohemian Rhapsody is probably the peak. I heard Queen for the first time when I was really young because my dad loves Queen. It was just one of our favorite songs, I think, for my entire family. I've been listening to it for forever, since I can remember listening to music. There's a lot of songs that Lady Gaga made that I love. Just Dance specifically has an important meaning to me because I remember getting my hands on the a cappella somehow. But I realized how much work with delay throws and doubling one vocal, one left, one right, one distorted, one pitched up. I realized that producing a vocal is almost an art in itself. I hadn't produced vocals back then. I just made music. I was in a rock band. And in our band, it was just kind of like the singer sings the song and then you're kind of done. So it's not just recording it, but it's comping it perfectly, adding effects, being creative with it, and making the vocal a real instrument. My next song is Chicory Lafiesta, a jazzy, classical jazzy piece. Chicory is an incredible piano player. When I was really young, 5, 6, 7 years old or so, I was playing classical piano. My parents taught me, and they made it kind of like a competition where my dad said, "Oh, I bet he could play this piece." And my mom was like, "There's no way he can't play that." So they kind of played it off as a challenge. And then I was like, "No, I'm going to play this piece. I'm going to show them." So I started learning La Fiesta and ended up being pretty good at it. And then I played that at a classical piano competition and won. And I believe that this piece was probably part of the reason why, because it was relatively advanced for my age back then. My next choice is Paramore, Misery Business. I am a huge Paramore fan. I always have been. I think they were one of the first bands that got me into slightly harder rock music. I grew up in Germany and my English was pretty bad. So back then I only listened to music, as in the instrumentation and the melody. I never paid attention to the lyrics. So I was much more inclined to listen to music that had melodies and harmonies. And to me, Misery Business is a great example of a relatively hard rock song with a really awesome melody and emotion in it. Second chances, they don't ever matter. People never change. When I started making electronic music years later, to me, making a song with Haley was always kind of like a dream. That dream came true when I made Stay the Night. Are you gonna stay the night? Oh. We asked if she was interested, and she happened to like the song and ended up singing it. So it was a real personal highlight in my career to be able to make a song with Haley Williams. Daft Punk, One More Time. Also extremely important because at that point I just got into rock music, and electronic music is just not something that was interesting to me. I was a drummer, played piano. To me, electronic music just wasn't real music. And then I heard One More Time and I just couldn't deny it. I started getting really deep into Daft Punk, got their album and listened to it a million times. Now I'm in the world of electronic music for a living. And if I hadn't heard One More Time, I don't know if I would be. So this is probably the most important song in my career. One more time. So I just think, generally speaking, One More Time as a song, Daft Punk as a band, Discovery as an album, is just a really inspirational piece of art. My next song choice is Silverchair with The Greatest View. Their first albums that everybody loved, I wasn't so much into, and then they released Diorama, and I remember my brother and I bought it, and we just sat on the couch, put the CD in and listened to it in full length, which is probably something people don't really do nowadays anymore. And we listened to it all the way through, and I just thought, wow, this is the best album I've ever heard in my life. And my brother and I started a band that was called Dioramic, which is based on Diorama, their album. Everything about its composition, the way they include an orchestra, the writing, the lyrics. When we started the band based on this album, that was one of the songs we performed at a band contest, which was also our very first show we've ever played. And we ended up winning this one. So I'm going to give this song credit for being so incredible that it gave us the opportunity to win a band contest. Banger. Full on banger. That was in a time where I used to be a drummer and I used to be a studio drummer, and I didn't listen to much electronic music other than Daft Punk. So there was a couple of years of Silverchair and whatnot in between. And then I was in a studio, hired as a studio drummer. And then there was this CD, it was just a black artwork and a cross on it. And I was like, what's that? And somebody was like, oh, we should really listen to this. And I was going to go to the grocery store to buy some food. So I took the CD with me, put it in, and it was like an explosion of emotions because it reminded me of Daft Punk, but the production level was on a completely different level. They make electronic music and it's banging, but it's still in song structure and has vocals and everything. It's perfect. And usually when I hear something, I can in my head figure out how it was made. I have no idea what's going on in this album, whether the mastering is just insanely compressed and bit crushed, and that's why it feels like the sound is being sucked into you, or what magical things are going on. But their snare drum from this song is still being sampled all day long everywhere. A lot of electronic music artists would not be making the music they make today, including myself, if it wasn't for Justice. Theater with Buck Rogers. This was like really early on. I'm a kid. I love playing video games, and I play classical piano, and I listen to George Benson and Queen and King Crimson and whatnot, mostly music that my dad likes. And Theater, Buck Rogers is really like just rock, dirty rock. But I'm playing this video game. It was Gran Turismo 2 or Gran Turismo 3, which is a racing game. And I think something between me playing that video game and loving it and this song constantly playing because it's part of the game made me really love it. So I got into this hole of just wanting to know everything about Theater. I bought every album you could buy. I went into the black market and found some illegal CDs that people burned from a live show in Japan and whatnot, and listened to Theater for years and really got into rock music. It's this song's fault. Right here. So I think all of these songs are inspirations for me and that helped me develop and shape as a musician and as a human being. And I would definitely not be standing here talking to you guys if these songs and artists didn't exist and made me who I am. So this right here is my musical inspiration playlist. And if you want to listen to it, you can go to Spotify. It's available to listen, and you can listen through my journey as a kid growing into a musician that I am today.